Well, hello, welcome to another episode of Jim's Allotment Garden. This week we've had a few frosts in the UK, most certainly where I am, and it's made a massive difference to the garden. And really now this is the time of year where you really do need to be bringing in your more tender plants and stuff like that, such as dahlias and all that kind of thing. And also, if you've got any wormeries that you've had outside, you also need to be bringing that in to the sheds to keep the worms warm and stuff like that over the winter. But we'll be doing that, a lot of these sort of things and others over this episode. So, welcome to another episode of Jim's Allotment Garden. Okay, so as you can see, the chickens have continued to eat the eggs. As you can see that, but there's yet more evidence of broken eggs, and also in here. I've not cleaned them out for a couple of days, and you can see they're also sort of sleeping in here as well, which is another reason for doing what I'm about to do. So between the cockerel crowing, what I'm going to do is I've been speaking to a friend of mine who actually runs a chicken farm. And what he suggests is actually making a ramp in here, so when the chickens lay the eggs will roll away from them. And I'm going to put like a ramp down to here, and then underneath the door I'm going to cut the bottom off the door so the egg will pass underneath the door, and then it'll drop down into a probably piece of guttering along the bottom here. And then what that'll actually do is the egg will roll down into the guttering, and then the chickens won't be able to get at the eggs and therefore won't eat them. So as soon as they're laid, it'll hopefully roll down into the gutter at the bottom, and the chickens won't be able to get to them. So I'll do that, and I'll let you see what it looks like when I've got it finished. Okay, so to create the ramp, and the angle's not so harsh really, but basically what I'm going to do is I've just cut a piece of wood to go along the back. Now my chickens are able to get up the back here, this sort of ramp here, which is how they get into the nest. So I don't want anything too high. I want something with a reasonable slope on it so the egg will roll off. But what you don't want to do is have it too steep so the egg just literally falls out and breaks. So I think that's probably about the right angle. So I'm just going to screw that piece of wood onto the bench here. Just give this a bit of a sweep before I start. And then what I'll be doing is I've taken off the front. There was a front piece of wood in here. I've taken that out, so I need to take less off the doors when I cut them back. And I'll be cutting these back to around here, and then screwing a series of these in along here, so that I make a ramp all the way across for the chickens to lay their eggs onto. Okay, so that's the surface put in. So as you can see, the ramp goes down to sort of here. Now what I need to do now is build something here to catch the eggs as it goes, sort of rolls off and sort of sits here. So what I'm going to do is put some guttering along the bottom here, and all I'm going to fasten that on with is I've got a couple of old guttering brackets, and they're just going to fit one there and then one over here under the door, and then just put a piece of guttering across there so the egg will roll down and then into the guttering. So I'll just do that now and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so that's the guttering in. So what will happen is basically the eggs will roll down here and then end up in the guttering. So two things now. I just need a strip of wood along there, just to sort of transition between this bit and the guttering. And also what I need to do is to take, basically with the angle grinder, just cut off this bottom section of the door so that the egg will roll underneath the door. And then what I need to do on this side of the door, put a plate of aluminium, and also obviously the same on this door, so that the chickens can't see the eggs after they've gone in here and get to them to try to eat them. So I'll do that now, and I'll show what it looks like when it's finished. Okay, so this is the finished article. I've had to. So what I've done is I've put some black carpet down. Now this carpet is it's actually the boot carpet out of a Mondeo, which I had to replace because I've got some paint on it. But what I've done is I've just cut out the same shape as the boards underneath. What I've also done as well is the boards underneath here. The angle was too high. So basically, when the egg was on there, it was rolling down too quickly, and you know, by the time it got down to the bottom here, it was going too quick, and I was worried about the eggs breaking. So also, what I've done is I've raised up the guttering underneath here. I've brought that up about an inch or so. So now it matches the same height as the boards. As you, before in the clip, as you saw, that was about an inch or so below. So I've brought that up so that the drop off for the egg isn't quite as harsh, and I've also cut some little strips of carpet, which was bits left out of the main bit, just to sit in there, so that when the egg drops down, when it hits here, it's hitting this carpet as opposed to sort of hard plastic. So all being well now, what will happen is when the chickens come in here, hopefully they'll lay their eggs on here. My friend has basically some like AstroTurf type carpet on his, and his chickens lay the eggs on there quite happily. I've secured the carpet in at the top here just with some screws and washers, just to stop that from sliding down. But all being well, if the egg's laid there, it'll roll down and then end up in the bottom there. On the doors, what I've done is I've just cut some pieces of some wood, and I've cable tied through to the other side where the mesh is. I've also cut off about 2 inches off the bottom of the door as well, to allow space for the egg to come through. Now, all being well, obviously I need to sort of monitor this for the next couple of weeks. But all being well, if the chicken lays an egg there, all being well, it'll roll down, end up there, and then I'm hoping that the chicken won't get through to the egg. It is still possible that they could sort of get under there. I might need to think about doing something slightly different, but what I'll do is I'll see how we get on for now with that, and all being well, the eggs will be laid over there, come out at the bottom there, and all being well, the chickens will leave them alone, and I'll be able to come along and just collect them each day. So I'm going to try to see how that goes. I might have to do a little bit more fettling to you know, just to sort of perfect the design. Basically, I've had to put a light in here so you can see, because there's that much black in here now with the carpet, you can't see. But basically, I've done both doors, so it'll basically look like that. And then all being well, the eggs will roll out the bottom like that, and we'll be getting some eggs rather than just broken shells in the bottom of the nest. Okay, just as an extra bit of protection, I've just put these pieces of wood on. I've just screwed them through from this side. The reason being, if the egg was there without that piece of wood, if I just fasten the door shut, I don't know if you can see, but the chicken could potentially get its head down there to pick the egg. However, now that piece of wood's there, it's going to be considerably harder to do that. And obviously, so the chicken won't be able to see it, and because of this piece of wood, and won't be able to reach it, hopefully because of that piece of wood. So I've done the same on the other side as well. So all being well, now it's like that, the eggs will roll down here, and then the chickens won't be able to get to it. I know this is a right game to get the eggs away from the chickens, but this is a method that's used in farming, so I'm reasonably sure that it'll work. But all being well now, all I need to hope for is that the chickens lay the eggs in here on the carpet, because obviously my chickens aren't used to laying on carpet. But all being well, they'll lay them on there, they'll roll down to the bottom like that, and then they'll be away from the two new ones that seemingly have got a taste for eating eggs. Okay, just checking on the next morning, and lo and behold, we've got an egg. So there's a bit of chicken muck in there. As you can see, they've obviously, I don't know if you can see this, but they've obviously slept in there. But I've got an egg, and it's not been eaten. So the modifications I showed you do actually work, and they've laid the egg on there, and it's rolled down, and they've not been able to eat it. So it's all good. Okay, so as you can see on the birdhouse gourds, the vines have really sort of died back, and I have found a couple of the gourds have actually fallen down and been on the ground. So what I'm just going to do now is just remove the remaining ones. This one's quite big here. So all I'm doing basically, as I showed you before, just cut off with a pair of secateurs about 1.5 to 2 inches above the birdhouse gourd, and then put those in the greenhouse. So the problem, the concern that I've got is these bigger ones like this one here, and that one at the other end, is I'm worried that when they hit the floor they're going to get bruised and damaged or even broken. So what I'll do now is these aren't going to grow any more than they are now, because all the vines have obviously died off, and obviously the first frost that we had this week has pretty much seen them off. So what I'm going to do is cut them off, sorry, and then take the vines down, and then I can put those onto the bonfire. But I just want to quickly show you the ones that are in the greenhouse, because these have started to go a little bit mouldy, but this is quite usual. I don't know if you can see this one. As you can see, there's a little bit of mould on there. So all I'm going to do is basically give that a quick wipe down. You can see the sort of the mouldy bit at the bottom there. And what I'm going to do is just wipe those down, and then I'm going to take them into the house where it's a little bit warmer and drier, and all being well, that will prevent it. But that is quite normal for the butternut, the birdhouse gourds to go now. I'm not sure if that's one that actually dropped on the ground, so I'm not sure if that one is a bruise or not, but that's when I dried the first lot that I grew. They also went like that slowly. I think this is the one, because of that mark on there. I think this is the one that was actually behind the gate there. So I'm pretty sure that one didn't drop on the floor. But anyway, what I'll do is just wipe that off, and then leave that to sort of dry it properly. But you will get that sort of dry and sort of mouldy sort of finish on the on the outside. But I'm thinking that the greenhouse is getting a little bit damp now for them. So what I'll do is I'll put them either in the house or in the shed to dry it a little bit further. Okay, so I've got all the bottle gourds in. So we've got 5 here. There's some smaller ones there, and there's like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's 12 out of 6 plants, so basically 2 per plant. There were an additional 2 that I've given to a friend, and I've also noticed that 3 other ones have actually been taken off the vines in the last week. So obviously someone's been up the allotment and helped themselves, which is unfortunate. But anyway, I think we had sort of 2 or 3 gourds on each of the plants, so I think that's, for turnout, that's not too bad really. But what I'll do, as I say, I'll put these in the shed now. I'm just showing you here in the greenhouse, so where it's nice and light and you can actually see what they look like. And I'll show you these probably in about 9 months' time, when they've all dried out and we can start to make some things with them. Okay, so I'll just give you a quick tour of the allotments. Now in the greenhouse, these cucumber plants have most certainly gone over. We've still got the odd cucumber here and there, but obviously these are no good to anybody, so I'll be taking the cucumber vines down in the next week or so. There's no sort of mad rush to do that. In the greenhouse, unfortunately, we did have a frost, as I say, this week, and it's you can see the damage on the chilli plants. It's quite evident. So what I will be doing with these is cutting them right back, taking off all of the chilies and chopping them up, and then putting them in the freezer for cooking later. But that's basically the chilies have had. Really, it's not good for the chilli plants to have that. Now, if they will survive or not, I don't know. But what I'll do is I'll cut them down, put them in the house, and hopefully they'll survive. Now, so far, there's no evidence of the fuchsias having any damage, so fingers crossed they'll be okay. So that's really the greenhouse. As you can see, the cucumber plants here are really sort of going back now, and that goes all the way up to here. So this one's like the last cucumber as such, but I can't see that doing any more this year. So coming outside, this is where the biggest difference is. As you can see, the comfort plant has really been knocked back a bit by this frost, and the plants all round here have also, you can see a massive difference. These nasturtiums here were kind of a foot or so high, but they've been sort of knocked back. Now, the strawberry patch, I'm still trying to find a bit of time to get up here and clear this out, but I will be doing this over the winter, ready for the spring. The herbs here now really do need to be cut back and got into the compost next year, and the birdhouse gourd vines need to be sort of cleared up and cut back and all sort of pulled out or whatever, and then put in the compost. Now the sage and stuff at the moment is okay. I can still use this for cooking, but that's going to have to be cut back before too much longer. The rosemary, being the hardy plant that it is, obviously it's in flower at the moment. One of the few plants that have actually survived the frost that we've had over the last week or so. But just round here, this is the yock, and you can see an absolute massive difference. Obviously this is quite a sappy plant, and the frost has gone through that like a dose of salts. Now, this time last week, you saw on the clip, the yocker was kind of up here and nice and healthy. You can see now that it's, the frost has most certainly had an effect on that, and it's all sort of gone over. So what I will be doing is clearing these tops out and putting those on the compost, and I'll be digging out the tubers out the ground most certainly in the next week or so. So when I do that, when I find a bit of time to do that, I will be putting a clip together for the next video. But at the moment, because it now goes dark at about 4 o'clock, I don't really get back from work till after that, and it's really difficult for me to get things done in the week. But all being well, in the next week or so, I'll be able to dig the yocker out and show you what it looks like. The nasturtiums this side here, as you can see, the frost again has had a massive effect on them. Has really knocked them back. So this is the second lot of comfrey, and that's also been knocked back a little bit by the frost. Now, the best thing I can do with this now is cut all that back to the ground level and get that in the comfrey bin to make some more tea for next year. The asparagus plants, as you can see, have now really started to yellow. Now, the best thing I can do with these now is the problem that you get basically is with wind. As these rock backwards and forwards, it'll weaken the bottom of the plant. So again, the best thing I can do with these is cut them back and get them in the bin. Now, asparagus doesn't compost particularly well, so I tend to put that either in the fire or in the green bin, because it is quite woody and it doesn't really, I don't think it puts that much into the compost anyway, but unless you've got a shredder, I would suggest you put that either in a fire or in the green bin. Now, obviously here we can see I've managed to pick the fruits, the apples off the tree there. Unfortunately the pears didn't survive on the tree here, but as you can see, they are deciduous fruiting trees. So the cherry and the apple and the pear, all the leaves are starting to go over now, and all of this sort of birdhouse gourd, they've all sort of died down. So what I need to be doing is cleaning this up and getting rid of all of these sort of vines and stuff, get them in the bin. Right, okay, coming down here. Now, ideally I'd have taken the bean canes down by now, but again, I've not really had a chance to come up here. Now what we've got here is the Allotment plant, and as you can see, just like I don't know if you can see, but the Allotment plant is there. There's another one at the back there. They've gone really dark and dull, and obviously the frost has had a massive effect on them. So the Allotment will also be dug up very shortly. So what I'll be doing is taking these cages out of the way and then digging them up. Now, I need to do it reasonably soon, so I know where the plants are, because I'd imagine these plants are going to die back to the point where I can't tell where each of the plants were. So most certainly in the next week or two I need to be digging all of these up. Now, the way to store them is to basically dig them all up and wash them, and then put them in a bag or whatever. But what you need to do with these, unlike potatoes, with these you need to keep them moist, otherwise they will dry out. So you can either put some damp compost in there or sort of whatever. But so the storage of that, I am going to be obviously I've not grown these before. This is the first time I've grown Allotment. But what I'll do is I'll make sure I'm doing the right thing, and I'll put a video out in the next week or so to show you how to do them, just in case you've done them this year. Now, one thing that the frost has not had an effect on is the kale. Except for the fact that obviously this frost, what it will have done is killed any of the residual whitefly off. But the kale now we should be able to eat, because when you get the frost, what it does is it changes the starches in the kale leaves to more of a sugar. So you know, now we've had a frost, really is now the time we can start to eat this kale. So I'm really looking forward to eating this Petrage kale, and also the standard Scottish kale. So I'll be most certainly starting to eat that in the next few weeks. So I'll let you know how we get on with that. So that's the tunnel. Obviously I've weeded out this side here where the broccoli was. So I've just got the 3 tops of kale now in here. But I'll be harvesting some of this in the next week or so. In fact, probably I'll have some today, to be honest with you, so I'll let you know how we get on with that. Moving down the plot, this was where the onions were, so that's all sort of cleaner. You can see that the excuse me, you can see where the parsnip tops have also gone down a little bit. But don't be tempted to clear away the parsnip tops. They will still be putting goodness into the parsnip. However, the parsnip's not going to grow massively more than it has already. So there's no reason why you can't start to harvest the parsnips from now on. In here we've got some beetroot. There's the remains of some beetroot that was in here. They're the leeks, and the Swedes are in here and here. You'll have to excuse the weeds. And we've got some more beetroot here, which I've been picking out the largest ones. So as I've been going along, I've been thinning them out. So as soon as they get to kind of, sort of golf ball or slightly bigger, I've been thinning them out and eating them in the house. So that's the beetroot and swede and parsnip. Now this is the rhubarb, and as you can see, that's really had a massive change in the last week. This was sort of up here this time last week, but because we've had this frost, that's completely knocked it back. Now what I will be doing with the rhubarb is putting on another layer of mulch this winter, and what I typically do is put some chicken manure on. Now last year I put in a lot of wood chip. I shan't be putting any more wood chip on. This year what I'll be doing is putting some chicken muck over the top of that. But that's the rhubarb anyway. In the last tunnel here, what we have got is some more Petrage kale, and we've also got the spinach at the front. Now the spinach has been heavily picked over the past few weeks, so as you can see, we've had a lot of spinach out of the allotment. So a lot of the larger leaves and that have gone, so these are the younger leaves you can see here. But just like the other tunnel, this Petrage kale has grown really well, and now we've had this frost, we can really start to get in there and start to harvest the kale. Okay, coming around here, all of the calangias have now gone over, so what I can do now is clear all of this out, and obviously the sunflowers can now be got out. Now sunflower stalks really, you know, most certainly ones this size, you know, they're not going to compost down particularly well. It'll take you a good 2 years to compost anything like this because they're so woody. So what I suggest you do with these is cut them into sort of 2 foot lengths or whatever, dry them out and then put them on your burner and burn them. This is where all of the gourds were, so we had the courgettes here, pumpkins and butternut squashes, and as you can see, that's all died back now. I've got a bit of nettle in there, so that needs to be cleared out. But what I want to do is sort of clear all this area out now for the winter, rough dig it, and then that'll be ready for again next year. This is the Mashua plant. Now this, I'm surprised that this hasn't shown as much sort of frost damage as the Allotment and the Ocker, but I don't know if you can see, but you know, this plant still looks, you know, reasonably healthy. So what I will do is leave it a little bit longer. I'm not going to do anything with this for a while until I start to see the plant dying back. Now I can see that it has sort of gone darker, but it's not sort of died back as such. There is the startings of evidence here, but you know, what I will be doing is digging those out in the next few weeks as soon as the plant really starts to die back, because now's the time that all the goodness goes into the corms of the plant, you know, the root system, which is the bit that you want to eat. So So the masher and the Allucco and the Ocker, you know, what you need to do is wait really to the last minute, so all the goodness is in there, so that the biggest and the juiciest they can be, and that's when you take them out the ground. So I'll be taking these out in the next couple of weeks, probably as soon as the plant starts to show some signs of dying back, and I'll show you what the harvest looks like on those. The beans, you can see a massive difference. Obviously, all of the sort of the life's been drained out of them with this frost. So what I will be doing as soon as I get some time is taking all the bean stalks out. Now, don't be tempted to leave your bean stalks in the ground, because over the winter they will rot and you'll lose the bottom sort of 9 inches of foot of the cane. So the best thing you can do now is clear all, you know, get as many seeds as you need off the plant, and then sort of clear the rest. Burn all of the bean plants. Leave the roots in the ground, because the roots have like little modules on the, you know, sort of on the side of the roots, and that's where all the nitrogen's stored. Now, leave the roots in the ground, because that'll put goodness, you know, that'll put nitrogen into the ground for next year. So what I suggest you do is either cut them off at the ground or just break them off at the ground and then dig in the roots. That's the best thing you can do. But the rest of the plant, the top part of the plant, that can be taken away and put on your burner to get rid of that way. Again, because these are quite woody, they don't compost down particularly well. So the best thing you can do is take out your ties or your cable ties, wherever, at the top, and then pull the actual bamboo cane upwards, and then if you run your hand down here, what you'll find is all of the vine will sort of unwind itself off the cane, and you'll be able to pull the cane out quite cleanly, leaving all of the sort of the bean plants, if you like, on the floor, and then you can clear the bean plants away as soon as you've got the canes out of the way. But the best thing you can do with your canes is get them out the ground now, get them in the shed and keep them dry over the winter, and then they'll be ready to go for next year. If you leave them in the ground, they will rot if you're not careful. So the best thing you can do to keep your canes is to get them out the ground now. That's the best thing you can do. This is the remainder of the potato plants. Now, I do need to get up here really and start to dig a few more of these potatoes out. The only reason I haven't done it up till now is I've had a back problem, and that's why I've not been doing quite as much up the allotment as I would have liked. But what I will be doing is sort of digging this row out here, and then sort of carrying up this half here, and getting the rest of the potatoes out. Now, really, the potatoes will store in the ground. The risk you stand really, or the only risk that you stand leaving them in the ground now, is slugs getting at them, or the ground being washed off the top and the sun getting to them and sending them green. But if you haven't got a massive slug problem in your garden, you know, the potatoes will store in the ground. If you just leave them in the ground, they will store in there, and you can dig them up as and when you use them. But obviously, as the year goes on, the weather's only going to get worse, and so it gets harder and harder to dig them out the ground cleanly. So what I tend to do is dig out as many as I possibly can do now, and then I'll leave the remaining few half rows here to have in a month or so. But that's one job I need to get onto as well. The raspberry canes have really started to die back, as you can see, and this is the time of year where you can start to cut out the old stems. Now, if you bend it over and it breaks off, that's obviously a dead plant that's already fruited on last year's wood. So what you can do, obviously, wood that looks like this, even though it's fruited, that will obviously be fruiting again next year. This one next to it here that's gone kind of a silvery colour, and the way to tell is just by bending it. If it breaks off, then it's obviously dead wood. You can take that out, which will encourage further growth for next year. But that's the raspberries. What I will be doing as well is even the ones that have survived, or are still living, should I say, what I will be doing is taking off the top sort of, I don't know, foot or so. So I'll cut them off to about 4.5, 5 foot high, and that'll stop the wind from blowing them about and damaging them. The strawberry plants are actually in flower at the moment. Not that anything's going to come of them. We have had a couple of strawberries over the last week, and that just goes to show how mild the weather has been this year. We have had a very mild winter. We had a mild spring, a very nice summer, and we've also had a mild autumn as well this year. So we've had a very long growing season with the garden. So we have been very lucky. And the frost that we had this week really did take me by surprise, to be honest with you. I wasn't expecting it to be quite as cold as it has been this week, and you know, the plants have obviously died back because of it. But what we need to do now is anything that's sort of that needs to be brought in, as I explained, we really do need to get that in, you know, under protection for the winter. So I hope this episode has been of some use to you. Please don't hesitate to put any comments or questions that you've got below, and I'll always get back to you. And I'll see you on the next episode of Jim's Allotment Garden.